to this week's edition of the wonderful show we call the Inworld Review. This is a program where we look at arts, destinations, and other sorts of things happening in the world of open sim, mostly on the hypergrid, which is a system that connects all the simulators built with OpenSim together. Well, all those that want to be together, that is. There are a few exceptions. Um, as I say, we look at destinations and arts by and large. This week we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to actually be looking at shopping. You'd think we were in Second Life, wouldn't you? But yeah, you've got to go shopping even in open sim. So we'll be looking at that. I better introduce the folks here first, of course. Sitting next to me on my right is none other than James Atlloud. He's the one that he's known for his sitting. He's also known for fiddling.
Yes, he is.
He fiddles with knobs. Yeah, there. It's under a table there. He's fiddling with lots of knobs. In other words, audio, video, and screenshots, and my desktop. Everything basically that enhances the show from being what would otherwise be talking heads, talking avatar heads at that. So, welcome, James.
Thanks, Mel. Happy to be here.
Worried about the silence there for a minute. Right. And on my left, of course, is my regular co-host here, the wonderful Thirza Ember. Thirza, of course, convenes Hypergrid Safari when it's in season and does so much else as well. But yeah, she now assists me with this show, which is absolutely wonderful. So hello, Thirza. Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much for welcoming me in such a convenient way.
Yes. We will now convene. So, enough for that. And in a few minutes' time, we'll be looking at the work of our two guests here, but I will introduce them basically before we start. On the far right here, we have Star Ravenhurst. Welcome, Star.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure. And I was about to say thank you, Lavia. We also have Lavia Lavine. I love the way that rings, actually. So welcome, Lavia.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here.
And I'm not going to call you the Ancient One.
No, that's my
your handle on Discord, I'm told your handle on Discord was created by your grandchildren.
my kids.
So fair enough. Oh, right.
That seems like it's worse somehow if your kids do it. I mean, if your grandkids do it, it's kind of you can understand it.
It's one of those,
That's a conversation.
It's one of those cases where they tell me that I went to school on the back of a brontosaurus.
I was fascinated. We were just talking earlier. I mean, we'll come back to your other things in a minute, actually. But you were saying you're excited about all this. But you also mentioned that you had your own radio show. Back in the mid-90s, was it, or something?
From 1990 to 1995, I worked for a radio station, and I had my own show. In which I did a lot of DJ work, and I also did some interviews, and I've been interviewed by like college students and so forth on different issues. So I'm not unfamiliar with this.
So that's just what I was going to say. So you should be right at home here.
Yes, prepare for disappointment. What can I
say? You probably know more about it than we do. Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll come back to you two very shortly indeed. But first of all, we're just going to have a little roundup of what's new in OpenSim. And in fact, actually, I only have one web page to come up with at the moment, and that was a post from Hypergrid Business during the week, actually talking about Hypergrid for once. hypergridbusiness.com, and David Karuki was reporting there a couple of days ago, 17th. Looking at alternative metaverse, Eureka World, GBG World. I don't know that one, do I? Kitely, Neverworlds, Host Grid, Piggybank Grid World, Tag, Wolf Territories Grid, Zeta Worlds, and whatever. Okay, no, that's about him. Okay, the news there, as you can see on the screen, actually, OpenSim has added more land area, but has lost some of its active users. These stats they're probably best viewed over a year or a longer period of time than just a month. Uh, uh, as he points out there, a lot of it is due to seasonal variations. For example, when everybody's out in the northern hemisphere is out enjoying the summer, there's less people logging in and coming online. Whereas in midwinter, where they're freezing their asses off outside, they sort of tend to come in world and warm up. I think is teleport to a nice beach somewhere, feel warm even if you're not. So anyway, yeah, loses users and added more land, but you'll find that hypergridbusiness.com, and you can read all about the details there if you want, which grids are what. I won't be showing it, but Wolf Territories Grid there actually has published a video. It's about 8 minutes long, and it's telling you how to get a Mastodon type Fediverse account at OpenSimWorld. It's just like actually getting one at any other Mastodon site if you're moving from Twitter or want to be part of the Open Fediverse. I haven't got 8 minutes to run it, so it seems a long time to tell you how to do it. But I would point out, as I did last week, that OpenSimWorld, which I'll show you very quickly here actually, is a very useful site to go to. To look up regions and events in OpenSim on the hypergrid. Most of the ones you find actually have links there, so you can copy the link and just put it in your map in world and move around from grids quite happily. Yeah, they also have events. There's RSS feed for the events, which you can get. We use this in our hypergrid server. Yeah, but there it is. It's very useful. If you've got a web browser in the background while you're in world, it's easy to click there, look something up, and teleport to wherever you want. Okay, so that's about it for now over there. And yeah, it's now time for Thirza to come and introduce the hypergrid happenings. So over to you, Thirza.
Thank you. Hey guys, so yes, once again this week we're talking about hypergrid happenings. These are events, projects, gifts, free gifts, and news from all around the hypergrid. Each week we try and feature 4 or 5 different things that are happening around the hypergrid. And so this is what we found for this week. First thing up is a really interesting thing. It's got quite a new grid, which is called SSG Grid, and it's the Gnome Quest. And this is going to happen on the 21st of March, which is next Tuesday. It should be a fun thing to do. It's the Society of the Sacred Grove, which is run by a guy called Radafur Bear Smasher. And despite the name, his grid is set up with the aim of encouraging wellness in every sense, peace, tranquility, and finding a way to escape the problems of real life, which is such a high stress situation for so many of us. So this is the purpose of the grid. And if you show up on Tuesday around 10 a.m. grid time, you can meet the crew, the grid owners, and the various people who work for them. And it's an opportunity to have a bit of fun and know about this very new place. I think it looks like a lot of fun. I'm really hoping to participate. There are free gifts, but really the idea is to spend some time together and have a little bit of fun. Another fun thing to do is have free land. Who doesn't like that? So if you're interested in that, Tangle Grid, which of course is one of the older grids in OpenSim, has free land over there on the Sunshine Estates. It's hypergrid enabled, so you can travel around and enjoy yourself. They even allow hypergrid travelers to get land, so that's a pretty good deal. There's shops over there already, and parcels are just there waiting for you to grab them. So that looks like a lot of fun. I would recommend Tangle Grid. It's a very reliable grid. It's been around, as I say, a very long time, and they're great people. Here's a fun thing. This happens pretty often, but couldn't resist mentioning it, Karina Metza. Now, if you've never heard her, she's a Brazilian singer. She's a soprano, in fact, and just a beautiful voice. I was listening to a whole bunch of her songs that are available on YouTube today. And she appears in a lot of different grids. Third Rock Grid, you can find her quite often. And, of course, in this case, on AMV, Alternate Metaverse Grid. And it's at 2 o'clock grid time. So practically, we're talking about when this show ends.
I was just
You
thinking,
can jump over there and go see her.
we should point out to viewers that you mentioned a minute ago, when we refer to grid time, it almost always means Pacific US time. Even though, of course, we're scattered around the world, grids tend to use Pacific time as
That's
their anchor,
right.
so to speak. Yeah. So yeah, 2 hours from
Absolutely.
now, really.
And she's just a beautiful singer. She has an incredible voice. She sings everything from jazz to prog rock. So all kinds of stuff happening. She has a great range. She has a great sense of humor, and she's just a very fun person to watch. Here's another thing you can do, which is the Easter egg competition, which they have every year on OS Grid. It's by Wizard, of course, at Azoth. And you just go get an egg, go to Event Plaza on OS Grid, and you can pick up one of their basic egg situations and just make it into whatever you like. The deadline is Thursday, April 6th, and the eggs will all be displayed, and then they'll be voted on to decide who has the most weird and wonderful egg from starting from small things. And this is an interesting thing. This is my last thing. It's Il Terzo Occhio, which is a art display by Laura Antichi. She's a teacher in real life. She does information technology, and she is very interested in all this AI art and the chat GPT stuff and all that. And so anyway, she's made some art, she's made some beautiful pictures which kind of express her interests and her concerns and her perplexities as to how AI is going to impact teaching and students as the time goes by. Now, this is coming up on the 28th, so it's something to put in your calendar. It's going to be a really good show, I think. And it's over there on Craft Grid in Ukbar 2. As you can see, the name is written right there, but I will be putting that in the comments. So there you have it.
And indeed, we have it. Thank you, Thirza. Nice little roundup there of what's happening on the hypergrid. I think you got hijacked by the end music there.
Yeah, I
Actually,
slipped on the button.
you didn't really have.
I'm good.
Remind folks that if they've got any posters they want us to show for forthcoming events, especially in the coming week, get them to you by when Friday.
Sure. And I even signed up for Lone Wolf's Mastodon. So if you have
Oh,
that,
wonderful.
you can find me over there too. I
Right.
don't know what I'm doing there, but you can
Uh,
find me there.
is it Lone Wolf or Open Sim World?
I think it's called OpenSim Social, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
I'm on there too, so you'll find me
Oh,
on
great.
there.
Yeah, I have no idea how it works, but if you friend me, I'll be happy about it.
I'll just look up Thirza and we'll sort that out later. It's slightly harder than Twitter, but once you're in, you're in. I've got 3 Twitter accounts and 4 Mastodon accounts because I'm preparing Mastodon for the eventual exodus from Twitter. Oh dear! And of course, I just end up, one for OpenSim, one for Second Life, one for general blabber, and one for reserve. Right? Okay. It's funny here. Here I am looking at Thirza in her negligee on stage, but at the same time, I'm seeing her on the big screen in a nice, pretty dress. Because
Listen, I have to. This is a drinking game on YouTube. I hope you know that, Mal. Somehow I have to up the ante, so I went with this outfit. Just
fair
there.
enough.
Yes.
Well, I'll have to come on one day without my mesh avatar in a pair of sort of. No, never mind.
A thong
I'll,
or
leave,
something?
I'll
No.
leave, leave. I once was on a show with Metaverse TV in Second Life, and we were deliberately meant to be wandering around in swimsuits, but one of the rather crazy women in the background of the show started making remarks, and oh god, they went out over the air. And it was not my fault if there's a high visibility factor by whoever designed the shorts or whatever. Anyway, we're not going to go there, but we are going to be talking about shopping in a certain sense of the word. And I've also got the thing moving in the background. So before anything else, I'm going to reintroduce our two guests today. Lavia Lavine, welcome Lavia,
Thank you.
and Star Ravenhurst, who of course we know fairly well. Welcome, Star.
Thank you, Mel.
I'm tempted to introduce the monkey, but I don't think he's got a name yet. He's bouncing around. He's bouncing around in front of you. Okay, so I don't really know where to start. You were obviously working together, and the film that we took in the week, you're going to be seeing. For example, there's two quite big shops next to each other. They look much the same, but one belongs to one of you, one belongs to the other. So you've got slight differences in what you're doing there. But I'm going to
I'm
start.
just curious. I'm just curious how they met. How did you two meet?
It's a
How
good
did
start.
that happen?
We actually met. We actually met through Spoiled Beaver Richards.
Oh, really?
hmm She brought Star to the grid that I was on at the time, and we became fast friends, and we've been friends ever since.
That's lovely.
No,
What a lovely way to remember her too.
Yeah,
and I didn't even want to go. I didn't want to go to that grid.
yeah. She fought tooth and nail. Diva made her come.
Well, she was always, having me and Red join different grids, because she was always on different grids, and we would join the grids that she was on. And that particular night, Red and I were like, no, it's enough. It's enough already. But she talked us into it, and I'm forever grateful that she did.
Me too.
Just to interrupt a sec, the film we're showing now, I just paused it briefly. This is a sort of landing area and
Yes.
allows you to teleport to other places on the grid. And I'm just flashing around here just now. But where we left Thirza, we were waiting for a boat that didn't happen. So we end up sort of jumping over to the main region. But just thought I'd mention at the beginning here some rather nice picturesque bits around.
If I'm right, this is a region that you guys have built together, not just you two, but Dusty as well, Dusty Falls. And the idea is to set up a region that offers a bunch of original content that you guys have made over the years. And basically it's a shopping area. Is that correct? But it's a shopping area with a twist because it's very theatrical the way you've made the build. So what was the thinking there?
The thinking was you go to so many of the other malls and you're pretty much seeing all the same thing. I wanted something that was not only going to be a nice place to shop and get original content, but be exciting to look at and explore. And it makes the whole shopping experience a lot more fun.
Yes, it really does. So how long did it take you to come up with this concept? Was it yours or Star's? Whose concept was it?
It was my
Wasn't
concept.
mine.
It was my concept, and I had this thing for like ziggurats and ancient builds and things like that. And I had done a lot of different ancient builds, but I was looking at some things in Peru and South America, and I thought, I haven't done anything in that direction, so that's what I'm going to go with. And it turned out actually, I think, pretty nice.
Indeed. Yeah.
I mean, we we obviously see some of the shops as we go along here after these intros. But when Thursday and I first got here, we went up one bit and we went around the bit. And
hmm
the thing that struck me most is that these were actually products like buildings and things that were for sale. But you'd lay them out. It was like walking through a village. And in fact, you'll see when we get a bit further round, you can look down from the mountain a bit, and
Correct.
again, there's a whole load of things there, and you think, oh, there's a village down there, but not realizing it's actually an exhibition of,
Right.
of things for sale. So that's nice. It's not. It doesn't feel overly commercial because the products are just laid out in situ. You know.
Right.
And
That was
we should maybe mention whose grid this is and what grid we're on right now, because this is the Genesis roleplay grid. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
yes, the Genesis roleplay grid, and it is a grid that my daughter and I co-own. She has
Fantastic.
the Plymouth roleplay, and I had the Lioness Den the Builders.
Gotcha.
And her name is Metal Tango.
Yeah, Metal Tango.
Okay.
Dramatic.
Yes, it is, isn't it? It sounds like the name of a band to me.
Well, she's a musician.
Yeah, she was in a band. Yes.
In
Yes.
real life.
Hmm. Yeah, in real life.
What I was talking about. I apologise. Actually, my focus on the camera is because Thirza was walking around. I had to be locked on her, and I noticed that it would have helped if I'd been lowered down so we
I'm
saw.
not going to call that the butt shot, but
Well,
it is.
if I'd been lower down, I could have got more of the distance coming in. But it's okay. We do zooming around later. So.
That's
Mhm.
right.
It was a lot of fun putting this whole thing up, putting it together. And I was putting stuff out, and I talked to Star, and I said, you have some gorgeous builds. You have some beautiful stuff in the region that she's working on now. And I said, maybe we could put up a specialty shop for you, and offer some of your stuff as well instead of just mine. And we're hoping
Right.
that our other builders will get on board with it and start making stuff that we can make available in the mall. And it's all original content. It's well built, and everything functions and works. And that's what we like to see. Things that people, especially if in the role playing, they can actually use these buildings for their role playing and to make their own grid more attractive and something that will work for them, that they can enjoy and have a lot of fun with.
Yeah,
Is that-
that's
These
so
are-
interesting when you say that, because it's so important. We were talking last week on Val Librarian was here. I don't know if you saw the show, but she's coming in from Second Life and then Kitely, and she's trying to bring educators in world. And one of the biggest problems is to find content that people feel comfortable using, because they don't really want to use too much ripped stuff. I mean, sometimes that can happen and you don't even realize it. But
Right.
many educators, they would really prefer to have something that they're confident is original content, but it's quite difficult to find. Where do you find that kind of stuff? OpenSim is such a huge constellation of grids. It's very hard to find content. So it's great that you guys have something, and you've brought together your various builders, and maybe even more will come, so that a person like Val can come to your sim and find everything that they need in one place. That's really handy.
Well, and also,
I-
if they tell us what they need, it's possible we can build it for them.
That's true too.
I plan on adding more of my buildings. Well, I'll always be adding to the furniture and decor shop. But as far as architecture, I do plan on offering a lot more. But I'm waiting for the opening of Land of Czar, because most of my buildings have been built specifically for that region.
Yeah.
And although I'm offering some of it, I don't want to offer all of it until I actually open the region, which I will be doing in about 3 weeks.
Sure, that makes sense.
You mentioned also something about things people can use, and I did notice that a lot of what I picked up or tried out in there, you're talking about buildings, for example. There's nothing worse than getting in a building where you can't open the door and go in. Whereas I
Right.
know a lot of the stuff you've got laid out, it's got all the proper scripts built in, so you click on, you can open the door, and they're usable in the practical sense, and not just usable pretty to res, but usable in terms of immersive functionality.
Hmm. When I build something, I look at it and, I say, is this something that I would want? Would I want to use this?
Yeah.
If I wouldn't want to use it, it gets scratched. But if it's something I would want to use, then I'm going to put it out there for other people to use.
And yeah, this is principally the building section. When we were looking down a minute ago, I mentioned it before actually, but down on the ground levels, a lot of places laid out with buildings and things, and that's all stuff that's for sale. In fact, everything pretty much, I guess, on the well, we say for sale in OpenSea. What we mean is up for grabs by clicking on it. But
Right.
the sort of right-click copy thing. It's you actually
Mhm.
buy the package, and it's sort of
But most of them, if you touch them, you'll get like the little dollar sign, but they're free.
yeah.
Can I ask you a question? So, over on Neverworld Grid, there's many years ago, Mal will probably remember this. There was a thing called OpenSim Creations, run by Vanish Seriath, and he tried to collect as much content as he could that was OpenSim created, and it was a kind of a marketplace scenario. But the idea was that everything was free, and you could just download it from his site. Fred does something similar on OpenSim World, no OpenSim World, Outworlds. I meant.
Yeah,
I
Outworld.
was wondering if you would think that that was also a way to go, or do you think it's more interesting for you guys to have people come and visit, because there is a kind of the lure of the shop that brings people to the destination. Which do you think is more valuable?
I don't know about store, but I think it's more valuable to have them actually come to the shop area and see what you've done, because they can get ideas, especially if there's someone, who also builds. They can get ideas from what we do, from the layout, from different kind of buildings. Sometimes it's a good idea to give your shopping region a theme, like I've done with this. So that kind of helps give people ideas. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to get ideas. Most of it, you go online and you see pictures and, oh, that looks nice, and I'll go with that. But I really think it's better if they actually come to the region and see what you've done.
That's such a good
And
point.
yeah, and also see things in context.
Yes.
You could
especially
go on a website and you can see a 3D model, and sometimes you can move around it and pan around it and stuff, but it's just hanging there. Whereas when you see things in context, people get people who can't build get ideas for decorating. Because that's as creative. How you put things together and make them look. So, it helps to see things in context, and that's something you never really get on a marketing site, basically, a marketplace.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, well, I think it's good to be able, if you're looking at architecture, it's good to be able to walk around it and, see how it feels for your avatar, how your camera moves around it, and how your stuff is going to fit in it.
Yes, can I ask you another thing? I don't know if you know her, but Poppy Field over on OS Grid, she has this new idea that she's trying to develop, which is that she has a sort of expo. It's called a Shopaholics, and yeah, have you heard of that?
Yeah, I saw that.
So her idea is that each person who wants to be involved can bring an item, and they put it in her build, and it's not even for sale. The item will give the person who clicks on it a landmark to your sim, to your shop.
Yes.
And the idea is that it's a sort of a catalogue, if you like, but it doesn't take away from people visiting your sim. I think it's a great idea.
Right. That's something that we actually discussed doing, and I have one or two people who are going to put smaller specialty shops in, and there will be a landmark then back to their region or their grid, where they'll have, of course, their larger shop, and it helps promote things for other grids as well. And for me, I mean, that's really what OpenSim is all about. That we're promoting each other, we're helping to create and bring something beautiful into each other's lives. rather than, just sitting back and not really doing anything. This gives people something to enjoy, to relax with, and maybe find some kind of peace of mind.
Yes,
How
absolutely.
much of what you sell, how much is on offer, so to speak? How much of it is totally original, and how much is it stuff you've hunted around to find that sort of suits your idea of ambience, decoration, whatever?
Well, Thirza on the screen right now is in my shop, and all of the things in my shop are my original creations.
Right.
A lot of the textures I made years ago, and because I have a store in Second Life, and so I already had a whole lot of these textures, and I just uploaded them in World and started creating the fireplaces that we're looking at right now. I love making fireplaces, and
That's so.
so just about everything I make is Prem, because I don't know Blender or how to do mesh.
Yeah. A lot of people learnt with prims, didn't they? And sort of
Hmm.
to make the jump to mesh and things like that. It's a whole new discipline. If you're comfortable with prims, why not?
I
Uh,
like I like twisting Prem, so I
yeah,
I doubt if I'll ever get into doing mesh. I just love working with prims and textures.
yeah. Well, it's always been starting with Second Life, and even now we talk about this. Sort of all these so-called new virtual worlds and metaverses, even that they pluralize, popping up. But where you usually can't make your own world there. You can go and
So
experience
true.
destinations, and you can maybe collect a few things or pull things off the shelf. But how many worlds have Philip called the cube? The Prim, the original NFT,
Mm.
because you immediately attribute it with copy, mod, permissions, etc. You know, which is basically what all these NFTs are all about. The fact of the ledger that actually records what they are. And two identical boxes can have two different IDs depending on who actually made them. And it's a sort
Yeah,
of there was no other worlds that did. Well, obviously OpenSim now does that because it's based on the same model, but Mesh. No, sometimes for the better, but you get whole regions in Second Life now that since Mesh, people pay a lot of money to get them done. Then there's the whole thing. Visitors come and think, "Oh, this is wonderful," but if they own that land, you can't sort of think, "Oh, I'll quickly have a slideshow here or something like that," because in Mesh worlds you can't. It's got to be prepared in advance and uploaded, and I've got nothing against those as interactive experiences and things, but the community and the co-working, the co-creation thing that we have in OpenSim is so much part of the magic. I think we don't get anywhere else. I think you'd agree.
I do.
It's yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, you're you've frozen on us again. Let me go to the next bit, another short bit. Okay, we'll do 1 minute bit more film, and then we'll move to the slideshows you brought. I think um, this is going to be remembered as the Follow Thursday show. I think it's a great way of filming things if you get it right, but I, when you're doing it live, it's very hard to quickly get the right angles to see in the
Okay,
distance. Yeah,
That's Dusty's shop.
that's Dusty's
yeah,
shop. Yeah,
yeah. We
yeah, that's
moved there.
Dusty's
Oh
shop.
yes, you've got lots of NPCs dancing away here.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, Dusty handles
so,
the BOM bodies and clothing and stuff like that. Unfortunately,
Yes, we
Dusty
were
is,
impressed by that. Yeah, it's great
yeah, and
stuff.
does an awesome job. Didn't know what to name the shop, and I said, "Well, what about Falls for You?" And Dusty just fell in love with that right away. So that's what we call the shop, Falls
Yeah,
for You. And
great name.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dusty is away upwards of a month to 2 months at a time for the job, and
Right.
we get Dusty back maybe a week or so, but hopefully, come toward the end of May, Dusty will be with us on a more frequent basis, and you'll see a lot more in the shop.
That would be great.
Hmm.
Yeah, super.
And
Great
I was
content,
quite,
though. Love it.
as I said, I came back here later and I actually picked up a few things, male things actually, like heads and
Hmm.
mesh
Hmm.
bodies. And I haven't tried them out yet because I didn't want to mess up my avatar before the show. But things like applying beards through a HUD and things like that. And I'm hoping, I don't know whether you know, but I mean, I'm kind of hoping I can get a configuration that will make my lips move and still have some resemblance to the way I look at the moment. Which is hard with mesh because a lot of mesh avatars don't have lip movement. But I did notice these aren't the best examples for me, but I did notice around here you've got signs, and I think there's one avatar. It comes with about 7 different HUDs for customizing different bits of it,
Hmm.
Cool.
and it's mesh at the same time. So I look forward to experimenting there. It's also
Gosh,
nice
next
to
week
have
may
that.
be interesting.
Yeah, it's nice having those NPCs dancing too. I mean,
Hmm.
they again, it's that thing of seeing something in situ. If you see a costume on somebody and they're moving to boot,
Hmm.
you're
Yeah,
seeing it the way it's meant to be seen. Where if you see just a photograph or just a
right.
still model, it's not quite the same.
I'm really proud of Dusty. Dusty's doing an awesome job for us. He's a very good friend
I
and a
really
part of
like
our
those. Yeah, and
part.
those stores are beautiful. The way you've set them out with the two courtyards and then the store inside is very pretty. And again, as Mal was saying before, it really plays into the idea that it seems like you've landed on a mountain with a bunch of villages and
Mhm.
palaces in it. It's really nicely laid out.
Yeah. Then I achieved exactly what I set out to do.
Hmm.
Even tan lines, Leia. Look at the detail in some of these things. I don't know if I'm chasing tan lines, but just the fact that you can, you've got all that variety on the
Hmm.
HUD. Yeah.
I'm proud of all of our builders. We have an awesome bunch of builders on the grid, and I mean, even though it says Genesis Roleplay Grid, the hat that I have is the builders. I'm involved in the roleplay too, but the hat that I have is the builders,
Yeah.
and I love every one of the pieces. We're like family.
What is you said the what is the role play side of it? Is that a particular kind of role play, or just
Yeah, it's a specific storyline that my daughter developed, and it's been developing over many years. And so, actually, getting a character in the storyline would be pretty much like getting cast for a character in a movie,
right? Sure.
And so I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
enjoyable, but she runs that half of it, so
Yeah.
I have fun with it. But
Yeah.
that's her
I
side.
just wondered if there's a connection, like you supply the characters and costumes and stuff like that, or whether it's just totally separate thing.
We supply some of that, and the buildings. I did all of the buildings that, like the main estate for her role play, which is the St. Ledger estate, and I built all of that. And they have a giant hospital in their town that I also built. All of that is set on private region. She only has one that's actually open for anybody in the public to go in, which is the Crucible, the Plymouth Crucible, and that's all her thing. I let her deal with that.
Right.
Now, we're probably one of the only grids that have two separate groups of people inhabiting the grid, and Lavia and me and our group are in the northern part of the grid, and then miles of or meters of ocean between us in the south are the role play group.
Yeah, that's the Plymouth role play. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I've got one more clip for us to talk about 10 minutes more footage to talk over. But rather before doing that, I think we'll move to the other bit of this where you've actually brought some slides along that you're going to talk us through. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yours are first, I believe, Lavia, aren't they? So
Okay.
I'll let you do the clicking on the relevant screen. There we go.
Okay.
And you can
These
go through it. Yeah.
and these are farmhouses that I built that I actually lived in at one point in my life or another. Um, the green one in the middle is the one that I grew up in. And there is a smokehouse, a white smokehouse next to that, and then there's a little garage in the red barn. That's where I grew up for about 16 years as a kid. The white
Oh, in
one,
real life?
yes, in real life.
Oh,
And that the green one I tried to make as close to an exact replica of my home as possible, and I wanted to share with other people.
neat.
And there have been other people who have requested a copy of that, so I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and box it up and put it out for people to take if they want it. And the next one is a farmhouse that I lived in. I loved it. It was a Victorian farmhouse, and it had hand planed red oak floors. It was beautiful. And unfortunately, the landowner, there was coal underneath it. And
Mm.
he had kids who were going to be fighting over who got the rent. So he gave me time to get moved out, didn't charge me rent for the amount of time that it did take. And I had to move out, and that house was torn down. Both of those houses, the green one and the white one, burned down over
Oh,
Oh
time.
my
And
gosh.
and
Is
you
this,
know,
should we
yeah,
know something about you? This studio's not going to catch fire, is it, or anything?
no, no, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean
I was
it
beginning to
was
worry.
heartbreaking for me in both cases when that happened. But
I
they
should say
say
so.
you can't go home again, but here in virtual world you can, and I did.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
the brick building in the back was the last farmhouse that my daughter and I lived in for a while that I rented, and I absolutely loved it. And it's still standing; it's fine. In fact, it's been sold to someone else. And so, because everything that I had except for the greenhouse, I rented. And so, that house is still there, so you guys are safe.
So she says.
Yeah. Um, this house has an interesting story to it because I built it from memory of the house that my now ex-husband and I had together that we built together, and I really loved it. It was a raised ranch, and it's that's just good memories there. And I really liked that house, so I thought, well, I'm going to share that with people too. It's something different. It's something unique from a lot of the houses that you see around in Open Sim. It has its own uniqueness, and that's what I like about it. This is a new hospital that I just built. My daughter came to me and she said, "Hey, Mom, that hospital we have is so big, and we can't see through the windows in the doors. So could you make something smaller?" And I tend to build so that I can move the camera around inside and see what I'm
oh
doing.
yeah. Yeah.
So I had to make this a bit smaller, and it turned out really nice. I'm very happy with it. It's got 3 floors, operating room, emergency entrance, the whole 9 yards. So if someone needs a hospital for their role play, there it is.
Excellent.
This is my first attempt at furniture and making regular furniture that you can sit on. It's got ab sitter in it so that you can sit down. And this is a living room suite that I call out of Africa because of the printing that's on it. And it was a lot of fun to build it, and I think people are liking it because I'm seeing them being picked up. This is another one. It's the same style with just different upholstery on it.
Yeah, the leopard look.
Good old
hmm
yeah.
This is actually a kitchen that I built. This has you have running water at the faucet. The dishwasher actually works. You can open it up and see the water going around washing the dishes. The dish racks slide out and back in. The oven the same way. You can open the door and the oven rack comes out. You can push it back in. There's a little
Nice.
button. There's a little button on the front of the oven. If you push that, it turns the light on, and there's actually a little fan going around in the hood there for the exhaust. So I wanted everything to have a nice, good, functional role play aspect to it. And some people, they even though they don't role play, they like to have something that
Yeah,
functions.
I picked up. I think it was this. There are a different couple of kitchens, weren't there? But I certainly picked up one of them. I remember.
Hmm.
Like you say, you just want to have it,
Yeah, it's a large. This is a rather large set because it has not only just the regular cupboards that go with it. There are the cupboards up on the next floor with the dining room table that have the glass doors in, and that's to put like your fine china and that sort of stuff in. And I think there we are into stars.
Oh, right. Okay, so take over Star.
Okay, I call this Laramie House, and this was a challenge. This house was beyond my skill level when I started building it. Um, I had a lot of trouble with the roof and everything else. Well, it finally came together, and I'm actually quite proud of it now. And I recently built the garage. The garage door opens, and anyways, it's available at the mall, and it's actually quite large. And I don't know what else to say.
I like the dental trim on it. That's nice.
She did an awesome job.
These, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yes, I just had to Public Works.
These are some of the industrial buildings that I have made for my industrial area on my region. And so if anyone, needs original buildings, for their own industrial area, well, here's 3 of them. And of course, the door is all open and, it's functional. And then this is a courthouse that I built for my region.
Like this. Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have you got a trunk?
And I also built the water fountains, and have a lot of parking lots. You don't see a lot of parking lots when, people put their towns together. But in the real world, parking lots are all over the place. So in my town, in my region, I probably have at least, 5 or 6 different parking lots. And so, so far on my region, the building remains empty. I haven't done anything on the inside except for, the walls and doors on the inside. But eventually I want to set it up like a regular courthouse. In fact, maybe Lavia could do that for me because she's pretty good at that sort of thing.
I'd be happy to help.
And anyway, so there's that. And
I love these.
yeah, these are just, like a little cottage. The larger one still isn't all that big. There's only one room on the upstairs level. It has a little courtyard or terrace on the front and the back. And
They look
both
like. Were they inspired by houses? Because they look a lot like the kind of house you see in Wales or in Ireland, or even in Scotland. Am I right, Mal? There's those crofter style houses with the very thick walls and the big chimneys.
Yeah, Ireland, I think. And maybe a little
Yeah.
even Cornwall.
No. Anyway, they do come with the patio furniture, which I made all of that as well. So that'll be in the box.
And the lighthouse.
And the lighthouse, the light goes around. You can actually climb the tower and up to the observation deck. And all of these builds are in my region, but they're available at the mall. And if anyone needs to, have something similar to, like this, for their region, they're welcome to come get them.
So it looks like you still have quite a bit of space on the Sim. So are you planning on continuing to expand to put more stuff out? What's the...
Absolutely.
Yes. as I build more things. And like I said, once I open up my region, we're going to have a grand opening party on the 9th of April. And after, then I have safari with you that same week on the 12th. And after the safari and, my region is open, I will start bringing more of my builds over to the mall region. I just didn't want to put everything on my region, at the mall before it's even open. And then my buildings are all over OpenSim and no one's ever seen them in their original
Yeah,
location.
that would be a shame.
Yeah, you gotta keep
So,
haven't you?
yeah, so more of my builds will be available, once the region opens. And this is one of my newest creations. One of my builds, it's a kind of like a little hotel. It's called the Grand Phoenix, and there's a lounge area, and I needed a bar. Well, I saw this. I was looking for inspiration photos on the internet, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I came across a picture of a bar that looked like this, and I'm like, that looks like it'd be easy enough to build, and so I did it. And
I have a question for you from YouTube. Angela Wagner, she asks this. She says, as far as furniture goes, are there any that allow for storage, i.e. A dresser that you can store clothes for you? Have you ever thought of making something like that?
I have made something like that in Second Life, but I haven't in OpenSim. I do have I have some chests on the upper level, like cedar chest, I guess, or trunks. I'm trying to think of a word that people would be familiar with. Those actually open, and so you could store things inside of those.
That sounds like a great idea. I'd never even thought of that. When I read that question.
Yeah, wardrobes would be a great idea to build for people to put stuff in.
Yeah, when when I was in Second Life years ago, I did have I think it came with that. It was like a big closet basically, but it had lots of drawers in it, as it were, and you could open the drawer, and then you could drag and drop things from your inventory into the drawer.
Yes.
So every drawer was different?
It gave you a way of saving things graphically in drawers instead of your inventory.
Wow,
But
but
the other thing is, because they were kind of inside a prim, I guess, or something, they didn't count. In other words, the contents of the drawer didn't count to the lag. It was only the drawer itself.
Right. What a great idea! If you're on lots of grids like I am, what a great idea! I could just put my clothes in a wardrobe, whatever, and then just give it to another different Thirza. Oh my gosh, what a great idea!
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to do it properly, it needs a web back end or something. So there's some kind of database that contains the ID of the things that you put in. But yeah, no, that's something. It was very useful. It was very useful even back in the old days, because you know what people's inventories are like.
Yeah. Well, maybe I will try to make one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Angela, for that great question.
Yeah.
That's Andrew.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll try to make one just for you, Angela.
She'll do a good job too.
And this is another picture of my shop. Those pictures in the frames that you see, those are actually photographs that I took in my region and framed them. And this particular section has like china cabinets and I can't think of the word. I'm sorry. What these things are.
Sideboards?
Hutch?
No, sideboards.
Oh my goodness, I'm drawing a complete blank.
To chest of drawers.
A bureau?
Bureau.
These would be more of like you would display like in an entrance hall or a dining room or a buffet, like a buffet.
Buffet, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, or sideboard.
And
Yeah.
In England, a buffet is something quite different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
If it was in a
Now it's
hallway,
like, please, somebody, please give me a buffet right now.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's just all kinds of things in my shop. The best thing is just come and look around, the whole region. There's lots of things. Lavia has a shop. Unfortunately, we couldn't have a gazillion pictures, so we can only show so much.
sure.
So the best thing is just come have a look. Maybe you'll find something you like. And it's all free.
Absolutely.
And original content. You don't have to worry about it being copy botted or anything like that.
Right. And it's copy, modify, transfer, any of my stuff, whatever you want to do.
I pretty much make my stuff full perm as well. You never know, doors could break and someone may need to modify that or, for whatever reason.
Or in my case, you actually break it.
I think that's the last one. Yeah, that's the last one.
Okay, well, I've got about 10 minutes more footage for the last lot that we can show us here now. That was to wrap up and then look at some of our other stuff at the end of the show. So let me start this playing. I think we've got more footage of the shops here.
Mm-hmm.
This is around the back from the shop. So both of them had this big courtyard, which is where Thirza and I jumped into the courtyards and things. Oh yes. So we've got Thirza to do a bit of the Indiana Jones on this.
Yes, the bridge.
I didn't even realize that bridge was there.
Yeah, but it's funny. The other thing I didn't realize until near the end when I was coming around was that it's actually a sloping path that goes up the mountain.
Yes.
It's hidden because the texture is just like it is around it, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just break it in just for a moment to say the word hutch? Somebody has just said that piece of furniture you were talking about was a hutch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
That's what I had.
There you go, Angela. She's 100%. She's on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way to go.
It can be whatever you want to call it.
The only hutch I've got in England,
Whatever you like.
the only hutch in England is the things that rabbits live
It's
in.
for rabbits. Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
rabbit
for rabbits. That's where a rabbit lives.
It's a very different thing over here.
Yes.
These are all the little shops that I put around the top, to kind of give effect for people that want to put in like just small displays of their own region. And then we can put a landmark there for, that people can go back to their grid and see more of their stuff.
So that raises another question. So suppose somebody like James, they've made a bunch of hutches and they would like to put them up for free on your grid. Now, is that possible? How does that work?
Yeah. I'm going to set up a group for the grid. And once they join that group, then they'll be able to set their stuff out.
Right.
Okay. How did you know?
So
that
there you
hutches
go,
were my
James.
thing?
Build those hutches.
Got
Got to think for hutches.
Prescient, right?
It's pressure.
I actually have those on one of my regions.
Yeah.
My parcels.
The first thing Thirza said to me when we landed up here was, "Gosh, it's big." Because from the distance.
Those are the floating elven homes. I actually made those under another avatar when I was on a different grid before we got our own grid. And that's what it's specifically for. They're floating homes for elves or whatever fantasy you want to do, and they have the little teleporters that'll shoot you up there and back down again. And they're not like really big, but you could still put enough furniture in there to have a nice little home and like a little place where you're gonna picnic or whatever.
From far away they seemed quite small, but when you get inside you realize it's a
They're
livable
actually pretty
space.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I keep
There-
looking like I want to jump. I'm not really
That's
suicidal. I just wanted to
those.
point that out.
Those are two houses that I built on the other grid and brought them over here. There's the
Hmm.
hospital. There's a bunch of
I
them
love the
that
fact you got a parking lot. That's so cool.
yeah, yeah, and we did a bunch of stuff there. That first house there is one that I built from memory from a home from whenever I was visiting my grandmother in Alabama, and it was a slab house, and I really liked it. I thought it was so pretty, so I just built one. And those are the flags. You can't see the images on all of them, but those are the flags of the different regions that we have of our builders and role players and so forth.
So a lot of this stuff, am I right in saying, that it are things that you have been able to recoup from all the various grids where you guys have been creating? Because you've
Hmm.
created in a lot of different places, and some of the grids have sadly stopped existing, or you guys have moved on for one reason or
Hmm.
another. So
Right.
really, what we're looking at here is kind of an archive of your creativity in many different places. Would you say
Right.
that was true?
There is some of it that is, and then some of it that is all new stuff that we made on the grid that we're on currently, which hopefully will stay there now
Yes.
for a long time. But yeah, we brought a lot of stuff over from the old grid, and we're putting it here and making it available. We made it available over there also, but we're making it available here now.
But that isn't that the beauty of the persistence of the creativity over the persistence of the grids, because the grids come and go, but a person's creativity is kind of forever. I
Right.
think that's wonderful.
Right.
Oh, this was a shop that I was interested in because apparently you're selling men.
Yes.
I couldn't actually find any available,
Hey,
but
you
only
know,
parts.
we'll try anything once if it works. Hey.
Yes.
But this is where
I
I
can't
picked
say I
up.
wasn't disappointed.
I, this is where I picked up a few things on the wall there, the beard and the things with
Yes,
hugs. Yeah,
this is when I was still in my hopeful mode. Look at that. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
who knows what one can do with these? I'm going to find out.
Mm.
Decadence coming.
I'm
All sorts
just
of
going to avert my eyes while he finds out
yeah.
what he can do with those things.
That's obviously stuff that we did find on other grids. Some of it actually from Spoiled Divas, and we put it out here to make it available. I do encourage
Sure.
people to go there and visit her grid and find things that you can use and will like. And if I can say, someone who I'm very appreciative of and very thankful for is Una de Calmasala. He is the one that
Yes.
we lease our grid from, and he's made a lot of this possible for us, and we very much appreciate him.
Yeah, Una's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, he really is. He's a
Yeah.
great guy. And
Well,
yeah, does so much for Open Sim. He really does.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think he's a quite busy man. So I always feel bad when I have to bother him with something, but he is always so kind and helpful, and we couldn't ask for a better person, to do business with.
You had
Yes.
asked a little bit about the role play end of it. There is one on OSW, the region page, and it's called Plymouth Crucible. If people are interested in going there and checking that out, I will tell you ahead of time. She's setting up a maze, and you'll land in that maze, and it is interesting because when you first land and you start reading the information, a spider attacks you, a giant spider,
oh,
and
Oh my
and
goodness.
if you stand and you're standing in the maze and you're camming out around and not paying attention rather than moving through the maze, vampires will attack you. And so
Good Lord.
she wants to keep you moving, so that you get through. And if you survive the maze, as she says, you come out at the end and you can join the Plymouth Citizen Group, and that allows you to go into the Plymouth area, that little part of Plymouth, and
ah,
to enjoy a little bit of kind of like freelance role play with the group and see if it's something that would be a fit for you as far as role play. Not everybody's cut out for it, but it is a good role play. So I'll put that little plug in there for her.
Oh, lovely.
Excellent.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah.
So as long as you don't mind spiders and vampires, that's
Hey,
the place to be.
Yeah, like the song says, I don't like spiders and snakes, but if you're gonna go there, you better like them. Because
Excellent.
they're all over vampires, witches, werewolves, and I think she's now adding a mermaid aspect to it. So it's growing. It's slow, but it's growing. And the thing of it is, if you come there and you answer a question wrong, and you walk, you'll go. If you go the wrong direction, she has what they call kill walls, and it'll poof send you back to your region.
Oh boy.
And so that's just some of the stuff that she has going on over there. And like I said, that's her thing. I don't run it. I just build the buildings for her. That lighthouse that you see right there is one that I built. I love that lighthouse. And next to it is a lodge that I built that can be used for a ski lodge or any kind of whatever they want to use it for. So, but as you can see, the whole build looks like something that you might see in South America, like around Peru or what is that one? Machu Picchu or something like that. That it would be something that you would see in that area, and that was kind of what I was going for.
Well, that's the end of our film. I believe we had 25 minutes of just that. James, by the way, have you got any questions before we move along a bit?
No, I'm very curious about the role playing, and sometimes it feels like role playing is very free form, and sometimes it's very guided and very planned out. And I was just curious, what do you find to be the case with your role playing on the grid?
It's very structured
Yeah.
and very planned out. Metal Tango, that's actually my daughter in real
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
She is like the director and producer. She will interview people. She'll get a feel for what they like and what they don't like, and that will give her an idea of where they might fit in and
Okay.
what character they would be good to pick up and play. Like I said, it's very much like getting cast in a role for a movie or something.
Yeah.
And now she does allow you to make your own characters, but they have to be within the guidelines of the role play.
Okay. Oh, that sounds wonderful.
What's the
it's fun.
genre of because you mentioned several times the Crucible, Plymouth. So is this like a sort of a New England in the 1600s scenario? What
Actually,
kind
no.
is it?
It's like modern day Plymouth, England.
Oh,
And
really?
and it's based on a historical character named John St. Ledger, and it goes from there. They are a both blessed and cursed family, and it's very interesting. I don't want to give too much away, but they are a family of vampire hunters, and
I spent quite a lot of time in modern day English Plymouth, and I never met a vampire, so I'm totally intrigued.
you might
They don't
lot of
usually
fish and
announce
chips,
themselves
Yeah.
before they bite
An
you.
enormous. That could be it, though. The fish and chip shops.
yeah.
It has so many of. That could be
Well,
It's a
somehow.
lot of
Didn't Dracula arrive from Europe on a boat?
Yeah, well, yeah, but that was Whitby.
Oh,
yeah.
It's kind of different.
Okay, it wasn't. Okay,
I've
fair
spent
enough.
lots of time in Forks, Washington, but I've not seen any
Yeah.
vampires there either.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
She uses a lot of biblical references in it, and it really
Okay.
gives it a kind of a route that you can go from. And like I said, they're a blessed family, but they were cursed by a vampire, and it's an interesting curse. Again, like I said, I don't want to give too much away of what she's established. That I'll let for her to do if you ever get a chance to talk to her. But it really is. It's a pretty awesome role play. I had 2 characters in it, and it's fun to play. And in our role play, we don't care if what gender you're playing. If you're a lady and you want to play a male character and or a female character or vice versa, we really don't care as long as you write well, because that's very important. The creative writing aspect of it is very important.
Yep.
And if you're a good writer and a good player, we don't care about the rest.
Cool.
By the way, while we're chatting, I've got a video playing on the inset window, which is a submarine walk around or ride. Um,
Is this by Mike McHugh? Is this his
it is, yeah,
submarine
You are
ride?
watching
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
lovely.
It's his film. I don't know whether he
Now,
did the.
Mike McHugh is a great guy. He lives over on Kitely Grid, and he's a great filmer. He did a bunch of films. If you were at Open Sim Fest,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which was in May, June this year, he did all the filming for that. He filmed all the different builds that were created by everybody who participated. So there was like a hundred videos or something like that on his stream. But he does things pretty much every week, doesn't he, Mal?
yeah.
Comes up with something.
Yeah, there's usually something he's done, and this is. I don't actually know where this is. There wasn't any real credits on it. But
I think it's Kitely for sure.
It's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, maybe on yeah, but there's probably a region, and it's a pity we don't have a little advert in the corner saying TP. So
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out next time we feature one of his videos. We'll have to ask him.
yeah, we'll have to get
Wouldn't
him
it be
on.
fun to have him on the show? He seems such a creative guy. I would
Yeah.
love to
Yeah.
hear what he has to say.
Yes, yeah, I think
We'll
so
work
too.
on that.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just a nice thing to have playing in the background here. Now we've run out of.
And it just goes to show you how much creativity there is in OpenSim and how diverse it is, because we've seen what the girls have done there, and then you see this sim, and it's very different. But at the same time, it's again, it's just a bunch of people making stuff and just having fun in OpenSim. Many different styles, many ideas, and just the fact that somebody can dedicate themselves to filming, again, it's a form of creativity on its own, isn't it? It's a great place to be.
It is. It's awesome.
I just something like this is just like an exotic set, It's sort of like a camera floating around underwater and no distraction of characters or anything like that. It's just
Right.
lap up the environment, so to speak. The exotic colours, and I've always been fascinated by underwater photography of things like coral reefs and things, because the colour and things is just unreal in the sense that you'd never see that above ground anywhere. You've got to be in the deep underwater to see these exotic colours and things, and
That's true. And I'm curious to ask both Star and Lavia what you think, because I know both you girls you're creators, so you spend a lot of time making stuff. So how do you find time to see what other people are doing, and do you think that's a benefit or a negative for your own creativity?
Now let's start. Take that one.
Well, what I do is, I go on safari every week.
Yeah.
That has become a priority in my life.
Really? Oh, that's
No,
wonderful.
oh yeah. No matter how busy I am, I will always make time for safari. For one thing, I like hanging out with everyone. Some wonderful people go on safari, and we see amazing places. And I would never see these places. I'd be stuck on my grid, building and creating and doing my own thing. And I think that stagnates you after a while.
Yeah, it does.
I find that safari gets me off my grid and gets me out in the world where I can make friends and where I can see other people's work. And I usually come back home inspired and ready to get back to work. And I just think it makes me a better creator by visiting other places and seeing what other people are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's always good to not be afraid to go and see what other people are doing. There can be the temptation to think, well, I'll just stay where I am because then I'm the best. Because if I don't compare myself with anybody else, I can call myself the best. But actually, if you get out there and you see what other people are doing, you kind of have an opportunity to measure yourself against what they're doing. And maybe sometimes what you're doing is just as good. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's not quite so good. Maybe you can learn something. But it's always good to compare yourself with others.
Oh, right.
I always learn something.
Yes.
When I go out and around and I see some of the things that people build, a lot of times I'm just awestruck that I'll look at something that I think is particularly beautiful and I'll go, I want to see if I can do that.
Yeah.
And then I'll go
But I just
back to the sandbox and
exactly.
start working on it, and it
And I
inspires
just
me.
absolutely, and I mean, we have people who come on safari like Cherry Manga
Hmm.
and Tina Bay, who are some of the greatest builders that you can find
Oh
in
yeah, they
Right.
do
immersive.
awesome work. I am such a
Exactly.
huge fan.
Ange Marsh is another one who every year, 2 or 3 times a year, they make these fantastic hunt builds, which we're going to talk about later. And not only them, Nick Spreen. I mean, we could name so many other people. But you, all of us, we all learn from. It's a sort of pollination, isn't it, between different builds? And sometimes you can kind of think, oh, sugar, I'll never be able to make something that good. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But many
What
times you can learn something.
Yeah, what I would really like to do, I've been thinking more and more about it uh, lately, is I would really love to have a collaboration with different people in OpenSim. So if anyone's open to doing a collaboration project, hit me up because I'm game.
That's the other thing, actually, when you mentioned safari and things. I mean, a lot of people work alone or just with one collaborator or something like that, and it's always very good to have that weekly event where you can not only meet quite a few other people, but also, the go on a trip. Whereas if you're on your own, you probably wouldn't, unless you went to film or went for some specific reason. It's the environment isn't sort of it's not so much like someone like Second Life, which is absolutely huge, and which is one of its problems, where you can just wander endlessly and fall across stuff. You actually have to deliberately sort of search around to find things in OpenSim and stuff. And for a lot of people here are creators, and they're here because what they do, they can do as well here as they can, and without paying extortionate amounts of money to certain other groups, but the whole idea of safari and the clubhouse and meeting every week and things like that, it does give you one thing in the diary or two things in the diary a week, that focus you, and when you're not getting on with your own stuff. So
Yeah, I look forward to it every week.
Can I ask one question though? How did you come up with the name for this particular region? I think Lavia came up with it. What's the story behind that?
Okay. The name of the region, when I asked Una to put it up, um, is Masala al Ka'ab. Masala al Ka'ab is Hebrew for wish upon a star. And I had built this giant star then at the top of it, which you had in the
Right.
video.
Yes, I
And
saw
and
that.
that giant star I determined then is actually a jinn, which is Arabic for a genie. And genies grant wishes. And that came from the wish upon a star. And and a palisade is a very large open place, like open market sort of place. And so that's how we ended up with the Masala Al Ka'ab region and the Stargin Palisade Mall.
Okay.
It's just a place where you can, go there and maybe find what you're wishing for.
okay, well, I've got my eye on the time here, so do stay with us. But we're going to do the last 10 minutes or so here now. I've got a film which James here, wonderfully filmed, that Thirza put up on Safari. So we're going to show that now, and then just have a quick look at some of the events from Thurza's blog. So do feel free to comment as we go on, but we're just going to shift focus a bit here. And this is a region called Dalaran, so I'm going to let it play. And there is some music here, but I can always bring that down if if James and Thurza want to talk over it.
Yes. So this is a new concept with James, and James can say much more about it. But it's going to be a new series of videos that are going to be on the HG Safari channel on YouTube. And maybe James would like to talk about this one.
I think the purpose was to just try and do something a little more encapsulated, trying to stay within 3 to 4 minutes and capture some of the sense of a place and maybe a little bit of a guide about how to arrive and where to go. And the music's not coming from Mal very strong, but I think we're all right.
Oh, I'm just trying to make sure it doesn't drown you out.
Okay. Okay.
I watched this video, James.
Oh,
I
okay.
really liked it. It was well done.
It was fun.
And the region that we chose to highlight first of all is Dalaran, and it's on Kinky Haven grid, and it belongs to Wendy Blackthorne. She built it. She was for several years playing World of Warcraft. Lots of people are familiar with that game, and they will know this place. So what she wanted to do was make some fan art representing the city of Dalaran, which is just very beautiful. And she made all this mesh herself. She uses a program, let me see if I can remember the name of it.
Blender?
No, it isn't Blender. It's a different program. Anyway, so everything you're seeing here is original builds, and so it's representing what the city would look like in the game, but it's not identical. What she's done is she's made it up in the sky, obviously, because Dalaran is a floating city, and you can find the animals from World of Warcraft game. There's a little market for them, and as you'll see later on in this video, she also built the whole sewage system that runs
Wow.
underneath the city, which is not easy to do, as you know.
No, it's not.
Now, I remember this. We went there last year for Safari.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
Yep.
Oh, the program is Wings 3D.
Oh,
Wings as in,
I've heard of
bird
it, yeah.
wings 3D. And she says it's a lot easier to use than Blender. It's a lot more intuitive and simpler to use. It's, Blender is just such like an encyclopedia of different kinds of creativity, whereas
Right.
this is much
Yeah.
more, it's kind of directed to making actual mesh, which is really all a lot of us are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Lavia, you like Blender. You should check that one out.
Yeah, why not?
I probably will. I cheat with Blender though. I build it in Prim, and then I save it as a collada file and import it into Blender, and then just hit
Okay.
Control Join and make it into one thing, and then re-upload it back as mesh.
Right.
So I cheat.
Look at what this is like, and she did all this in that program, so maybe it's worth having a look at.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the build is amazing.
That looks great.
Yeah, I really like the use of animated textures is just incredible in this sim. These gratings.
I love that waterfall.
And you look
Oh, my,
down,
look
you
at that.
see the water going down. You
Yeah.
get almost vertigo when you look at it. Just amazing.
Yeah.
I really love it. Again, James and I, when we first went to see it, it was clear we weren't going to get to see absolutely everything. There's much more on the build
Not
that
a
we
chance.
probably could have filmed.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So the idea is, please go and visit. That's the concept there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And unfortunately,
So this is just
our tool for streaming has such a slow frame rate, and so really, if you can go find the videos at the Safari YouTube channel, that would be great. Yeah.
yes,
as we
please
get
do.
production
Please go
rolling.
over there. Yeah, the idea is to do many more.
Great. So we'll have we can have a whole section of safari videos. Anyway, right. Finally, just rearranging our insert thing here so we can get all the pictures properly. Right. Just having a look now at hgsafariblogspot.com. So hgsafari.blogspot.com. This is our very own Thirza's blog. And basically, although Safari has finished at the moment, Thirza's recently, well, I've got 3 here, but we're only showing 2 for obvious reasons. She had one blog out called The Spaxiest Place on Earth, and I'm going to let
I
you...
love Spanx. I'm crazy about Spanx. He's so smart. He's just gorgeous. Shame he's gay.
This is
Apart
him.
from that, he's just, oh my gosh. I just have to be gay. Come on.
It's
All
back to
right.
Ryan.
Some of the best ones are.
I tell you, well, maybe not all the best ones. But anyway, so this is a really cool build. And you have to go there as a legacy avatar. Do not wear your regular hair. You have to wear legacy hair, which probably is why most people get sent home, because they haven't remembered that their legacy hair exists. Anyway, so
I'm-
figure out your
I'm-
avatar. That's
I'm just gonna go bald.
all go bald, but it's, I
It's
mean,
like-
it's that,
it's
I mean, it's like,
mainline.
it's 20 minutes out of your life. It's, it's possible. Oh, plus also he's made a bunch of outfits that you can get if you go to OS Grid. There's an actual sim, as it points out in that slide that you're looking at. So, I mean, it's not that difficult. Anyway, it's just fun. He's written a whole, oh, don't go there if you're easily offended. There's really nothing offensive. I mean, there is a poster that says, let's go Brandon. But I think we can all live with that. So, anyway, it's brilliant fun. There's loads and loads of rides. If you do something you shouldn't do, it's actually kind of a good thing, because then you'll end up in the afterlife, which I have carefully not added photos of, because he wants that to be a bit of an adventure. And there are actually rides in the afterlife if you do get kicked. Well, not kicked, but just
Sent to the afterlife.
removed from the. It's Disney World, but it's actually Disneyland, I should say, because that's different.
Disneyland.
It's Mayland.
Exactly. But it's actually, if you don't know it, Banksy, the famous street artist,
Yeah.
made a Disma land in England a couple of years back. And yeah, but this is way better than what Banksy made. This is more fun, and it probably will last longer too. So anyway, just go, just fix up your avatar in a legacy manner, and have some fun, because it really is brilliant. The rides are just delightful, and there's an element of fear, but it's all in really good taste, despite what Spanx said. He says that Spanx says it's in poor taste, and don't go if you're easily offended, but you won't be. It'll be fine.
Tesla's revenge. Tesla's
And all
revenge.
the names are just brilliant. He's just really, really smart. Anyway, we'll have to have him on the show one of these days. Plus, a really nice thing I liked about it was that he's got a big poster up that says, don't try and steal my stuff, because, it won't actually work. And
Yeah, he
nothing
has
is
export off, I think.
well, he does, yes. And because obviously he doesn't want people coming in just ripping off all his stuff. But if you ask him for help, he's happy to give it. And really,
There we are.
what's a better way to... Exactly. You can learn, and, you can come away with stuff. But it'll be brainy stuff, not just stolen prims. So what's
Right.
better than really? And of course, there's always like a million of people who haven't read the instructions. Oh, I got kicked. I got sent home. Oh my God. Could you just read the instructions? I never read a note card. It's never
Yes,
happened to me that I've actually read a note card. Not yet in my entire life. And I didn't get kicked. So if I didn't get kicked, I can't see how hard can it be, really.
I did think
I
it's
did have.
occasionally you leave note cards in the landmarks on Safari, and I'm terrible. I never get round to reading them.
But I don't expect you to read them. I really don't. I know you won't. That's why they're really short.
Okay, I'm
Because I don't even read them.
moving on to the latest. Again,
Right.
HGSafariBlogspot.com. This is called On Absalom.
That
So
looks interesting.
another visit. So carry
No,
on.
it's not open yet, so don't try going there, because you'll be wasting your time.
Fair enough. We got pictures.
Yes,
A
it's
preview.
opening soon. So, about 15 years ago, Ange met Nani in Second Life, and they hit it off as creative companions. And ever since then, they've been building together. Ange is very good at making mesh, and Nani is good at figuring out where to put it. And so that's the team. And she's Belgian, he's French, and this is their latest build, which is on Absalom, and it's basically an Easter egg hunt. But there's really very little Easter in the build. There's a lot of other stuff happening. I mean, more than I could even describe in the post.
Ooh.
The photos just kind of give you
Looks fun.
a vague idea. Just some really weird people in there. And so I was more bemused than anything, but I came away with some sofas. So, you know, what more could a girl ask for? I have an entire set of furniture now. So, what is that? I couldn't figure out if that was like from the film Tremors or the
It's
film
a,
Dune.
what in here in the
Oh, and
cave?
these are now we're going into the like reptiles.
Oh, that looks
That
like the
one.
worm. That looks
What
like the
is
worm.
that?
That looks like the worm from Dune, doesn't it?
I
Or
just
that,
don't even know. There was an awful lot. Yes, but there were an awful lot of them. Anyway, yeah, and so it's going to be really interesting. So if you're up for it, we're going to do a kind of a special safari on the Saturday of Easter, which will be an opportunity for anybody who wants to come along and have a look. And there's a building ripped apart, which I thought was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. The way he's managed to, yeah, you know, you can break a mesh, but usually it doesn't look realistic. And this one is just outstanding. Yeah. So typical Ash. Great work.
Beautiful.
Yeah, those are spooky.
There's a. Oh, that's another building.
And there's this enormous thing in the background.
Yeah, I remember what
I'm
you
going to say
called
it's a
that.
dagger, but I'm not quite sure if it is a dagger. Anyway.
That's what it looks like.
It's fresh. What do you want?
Anyway, right. Well, that's it. That's it. That's the last picture from there. I'm going to yeah, I'll keep that one out because it's a
And on a
second.
high note, that's right.
It's kind of a little advert for when it happens, isn't it? Right. Okay. Well, we're just about. I think we're 2 minutes over time, but James has resisted hitting the noise.
No noise.
Yeah. Let's just do a little bit of wrap up. James, any other questions for Lavia and Star? I know you've told me so much that you don't get your.
No, this is wonderful. I love these builds. It's just amazing the vision and the creativity we have in Open Simulator. Just wonderful.
Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, gets better and better.
Yep.
And Thirza, any other points we haven't missed yet? Or?
I'm just really looking forward to the upcoming season of
Yeah.
Safari, and I'm particularly looking forward to the next few weeks of holiday for me. but we do,
Oh, yeah.
but we do start again on April 6th. So I hope you guys.
Yes, I
will
know. It seems like such a short break, really. So,
Oh, it is. This
yeah,
time.
indeed. Okay. And Lavia, anything else you want to get in while you've got the opportunity, so to speak?
I can't think of anything at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe Star has more. I just know it's been
Yeah.
an absolute joy working with her and having her on the grid, and it really is kind of a joint view that we have in what we want to accomplish with helping to encourage other people's creativity, and you know, because a lot of people, they don't want to build because they're afraid, oh well, nobody's going to like it, or you know, I really can't build. That's okay. We'll teach you. We'll help you. You know.
You got to start somewhere, so it's always good
Yeah.
to have. Yeah, you know. Star, anything else?
Not that I can think of. Thanks for having us on the show and giving us the opportunity to talk about our builds. I really appreciate that.
Our pleasure. Expression, I think. Okay, well, with that, I think we better call it a wrap. I'd like to thank, on the technical side here, my assistant James Atlloud,
Yep.
and also the new filmer, Safari filmer now. Yes.
Trying.
And co-host Thirza Ember. Thank you, Thirza.
Thanks, Mal, for another great show.
And thanks to our guest, Lavia Lavine
Thank you.
and Star Ravenhurst.
Thank you, Mel.
And we will be back with whatever surprise we're going to dump on you next week. I can't remember what we got planned, but I wouldn't tell anyway. would I? So it's time to go to the wrap. So as usual, I'm going to wish you all a very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, and indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And we're out of here.